What's really good? It's your boy Aaron Devins, the millennial entrepreneur, coming to you live with the one and only Mr. Paul Loxton, aka Paul Osteen. What's goody,
Hey,
family?
what's going on, man? Happy to be here. Blessed. Happy to be
Yo,
here.
listen, we are blessed, and those who are live are going to be blessed. Those who are in replay land are going to be blessed. Guys, I want y'all to know that this individual who sits before you is somebody who has an incredible story, has an incredible journey, has an incredible brand, and has stupid amounts of nuggets to be able to share with you. And I want y'all to know that if you are here live and if you're listening to this on any one of the platforms, that you are not going to want to miss even a second. So I want you to stay tuned, share this out, because right after this intro is going down.
We made it, that's facts, ayy. We the greatest, that's facts, ayy. Prices raising, that's facts, ayy. That's right. But we paid it, that's facts, ayy. I did. They hate it, that's facts, ayy. Cause we changing, that's facts, ayy. We did. Can't blame them, that's facts, ayy. Cause we made it, that's facts, ayy. Cherry on top, that's a goat, yeah. Where you been, I wanna know, yeah. Greatest story ever told, yeah. Greatest story ever told, yeah. I know you wanna look up for this. Baby, let me turn you up a bit. You said you made it through hell and back. Give me the scoop, baby, tell the facts. Don't be shy.
Yeah.
Love that intro, man.
Thank you, but I appreciate you. I appreciate you. So listen, y'all, the sexy gentleman that stands or sits before you today, not me, I'm not referring to me, I'm talking about Paul Loxton, aka Paul Osteen, this is somebody that I've been knowing now for over a year. He's somebody who, I've said this from the first time we met, I've always said, this is the white millennial entrepreneur, y'all.
You did say that.
I love this man to death. He's just got an incredible personality. He's so humble, and he's now leading an entire community of his own. He's got so many people who follow his every move because he's so incredibly inspiring. His name is Paul Loxton. Paul, how are you doing, bro? And where are you broadcasting out of, man?
Man, I appreciate it. What an intro. What an intro. I'm doing well. I'm doing awesome. Broadcasting out of Louisville, Kentucky.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, those of you who know, he didn't say it wrong. He actually said it correct. He said it is not Louisville. It's not Louisville. God forbid. It is not Louisville. How do you say it, Paul?
You gotta let it roll. It's Louisville.
It's Louisville. It's Louisville. All right,
Yep,
you
there you go.
understand me? So, guys, this gentleman who sits before you, is somebody who is very young, very very inspirational, and I want to get right into the sauce here. I don't want to waste any time. I want to talk about your come up story, Paul. So, give us a little background about who you are and how you stumbled on entrepreneurship, bro.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So, yeah, my name's Paul Logston, coming out of Louisville, Kentucky, 26 years old, and I wholesale real estate. That's what I do full time. I have for the past year and a half full time. But before that, I was always taught that I needed to go to college to get a good paying job or just a good job with benefits or whatever. So that's what I did. While I was in college, I played football at the University of Louisville. I was a walk-on there, so that was like my highlight of going to college. But once I graduated with my degree, and I just tried to actually get that, good job, which to me was a six-figure job. That's what I consider good. I found out it didn't really exist. Can you hear me? Am I good?
Yeah, you're good, you're good. You said it didn't really exist. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I couldn't, like, to me, it didn't really exist because all I could find was the entry level jobs that were paying $40,000 a year, and you're working your tail off.
Yeah.
And it just, after doing that for about a year, I knew it wasn't for me. So I started looking for a way out, and that's when I kind of found sales.
Mhm,
And sales led me into entrepreneurship.
mhm.
Excuse me. Give me
You're
one
good.
second.
Yep. And you know what I find is interesting while Paul clears his throat, what I find is that it's very interesting that a lot of individuals who come into entrepreneurship found entrepreneurship through sales. It was very, very interesting. So Paul, you found the corporate, you went to corporate America first. You didn't really find what you were looking for. So you went into sales, and then from there, where does the story go? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Is that just me? Okay, there you go.
What about now?
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
My bad. Got
You're
the
good.
studio set up over here, but specifically went into door-to-door sales. And
Mm,
that's like the most cutthroat form of sales, in my opinion. If you think cold
hmm
calling's hard, go knock on somebody's door in person.
Facts.
Um,
Facts. There's no hiding.
no hiding from it, no hiding. So did really well at that actually, and moved around the country, did door to door in a few different markets, but the business tanked eventually,
Mm,
and I had to go back home and get another job. Tried several different side hustles, and I just still couldn't hit that six-figure mark. And that's when I found out about wholesaling. It was actually around this time in 2020. So I'm
mm,
sorry, actually January of 2020 when I first found out about wholesaling. I was
mm,
like, I was in a really low place because
mm,
I had this fancy college degree, so I took on a lot of debt to get that. Tried several jobs, and I just couldn't make the money that I wanted. And I felt so trapped, like I didn't have any other options. And then it's like, I don't know, just a wholesaling real estate YouTube video popped up, and something about it told me that like I could do that too, and make all this money that I see people making online. So became super obsessed with wholesaling real estate, and yeah, now we're here.
So all right. So you find wholesaling found you, popped up on your YouTube feed. You became obsessed with it. How long before you did your first deal?
I was really lucky actually. I did my first deal pretty fast. So I found out about wholesaling. It was like January like 10th of 2020, right? And
Okay.
then I started doing all kinds of crazy stuff, ordering bandit signs and
Yeah.
knocking on people's doors. And
Yeah.
the thing that I was most consistent with was handwriting letters and leave them on people's doorsteps.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I did a lot of that.
Okay.
I wrote a lot of letters, and I was still working a full-time job, so I would just put them out on people's doorstep, kind of like driving for dollars. So you
Yeah.
know how when you drive for dollars, you write down the address or you skip trace, and get the phone numbers and give them a call. Instead of doing any of that, I would just write them a letter like on the spot and just drop it on the doorstep.
So you were basically driving for dollars, and if you saw a distressed property, then you would write them a letter and then leave it on their doorstep. What did the letter
On the
say?
spot. It was real simple. It was like, um, so I would look up their name on like the county records before I wrote it. So I would address it to them like, hey, Andrew, um, my name is Paul. I saw your house at 123 Main Street. Just wondering if you wanted to sell it. Give me a call if you want to hear. I can make you like an as is all cash offer. And I put my name, my phone number, and then I don't know why I put my email address, but I did. Nobody ever emailed me.
I love it. I love it. By the way, were you following someone specifically who encouraged you to do this, or is this something that you innovated based off of what you had heard in your YouTube university?
Yeah, so this is like a zombie of everything that I learned from
Huh.
YouTube University. So I wish I could find the YouTube video that told me to do that, but it was like one that was just super small from some guy that nobody really knows. Maybe I don't know. Maybe people do know this guy, but
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah.
Very cool. So you're doing that, and then walk me through, because I want to know about this first deal, because that's so crucial to who you are today. So what eventually happened?
Man, I remember it like it was yesterday. um, so I remember the house specifically. It was after a windstorm, so the siding was blown off. There's a few broken windows. The garage door, you know how garage doors shut and everything's supposed to be level. This
Yeah.
garage door is like crooked. So
Mm.
it was just an ugly house.
Uh.
And I wrote him a letter, probably wrote the same letter to 20 other houses in that neighborhood. But a few days later, I was working out. I was at Planet Fitness running on the treadmill at like 10 a.m. on a Saturday. And I get this phone call. At this point, I'm answering my phone for like everybody. You know, I'm getting scam calls. I'm still answering. I'm like, hey, hello.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um,
Because you're
and
expecting a call. You're expecting a
I'm
call from somebody.
yeah, I had my cell phone plastered, my cell phone number plastered everywhere at this point, like Craigslist, bandit signs, handwritten letters. Like my phone number was everywhere. I didn't know that you're supposed to have caller IDs or burner numbers. I was just using my
Yeah,
personal. So,
yeah.
um, yeah. So I answer the phone, and the guy's like, "Hey, I got your letter, and I want to sell you my house." Yeah. So I almost tripped and fell at that point. Yeah, I shut the treadmill down and went over to the little couch area, and I was like trying to talk to this guy. I was like, "Oh, you want to sell me your house? Okay. How much do you want for it, or where is it at?" You know, I didn't even know
Yeah,
where it was at, any
sure.
details, but set an appointment with this guy and figured out what his problem was. Like, why would you want to sell your house to somebody who wrote a letter and dropped it off on your doorstep? You
That's
know,
right. That's right.
the problem was he had just gone through a divorce,
Mm,
and the wife and the kids had moved out, and he was stuck with the mortgage payment on this like 4-bedroom house,
mm,
and he just didn't want to do it anymore. So
mm.
he said, "Paul, I just want the mortgage paid off." I was like,
Wow.
"Okay, how much is the mortgage?" He was like, "I think it's about 82,000." I
Okay.
said, "Okay." He's like, "Okay, I think we can do that." I had a contract that I found in a Facebook group,
I
and
love
I
it.
just walked him through it and got it inked up.
That is nuts, bro. That's nuts. All right. So, first takeaway of this call, y'all. First takeaway is number one, my man. Okay. By the way, how long a time difference between when you first saw that YouTube video and this call happens?
Probably like probably like 20 days maybe.
Holy crap, man. So I love this. So even greater first takeaway, my man here's the sees that YouTube video. The idea is planted in his head. He becomes obsessed, and y'all see his first marketing channel was writing letters, driving for dollars, looking for distressed properties. He knew what to look for. He put his number, guys, this right here is what you call massive action. That's what you call massive action. And then here's another side takeaway from this, Paul, that I love. Before we get more into your story and all this excitement, another side takeaway is this: the fact that you were expecting somebody to call you back. Like some people call that beginner's naivety. I call that when you expect miracles, they show up. When you look for red cars, it's like, oh, wow, all I see is red cars all around me. I mean, this right here is the epitome of expectations create reality, man. This is so beautiful. No less than a month later, you're getting a call. So then what happens from there? The guy calls you. He tells you the story. He's obviously a distressed seller. He tells you the problem, why he's calling somebody who wrote him a letter and on chicken scratch. So what happens from there?
Yeah, so I was so new that I hadn't even thought about a buyer's list. Um, am I good? Am I still
Yeah,
here?
you're good. You're good. You're good,
My
bro.
bad.
You're good.
Yes, I hadn't even thought about a buyer's list at this point, but I knew somebody in my market who was killing it with wholesaling, and they're still killing it. Like they're low key one of the best wholesalers in the nation,
Oh
or
wow.
maybe not the best, but they're doing the most volume.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to him. I was like, "Hey, I got this contract. Can you just show me like what to do, and we can split the profits 50-50?" So that's what we did. He called over one buyer. The buyer just did a tour of the property and was like, "Yeah, I want it." So we got it. I had it under contract for $84,000.
Uh-huh.
Originally the asking price was 82. That's what we contracted it for. Seller called me up and he was just asking if he have some money for moving expenses and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, I'm sure we can work that in. So ended up being a contract price of 84,000. Sold it for 110,000.
Holy moly. How much money did you end up walking away with after the JV?
13K.
Holy smokes. I love it. So from beginning to end, from the time you contracted it to the time it closed, about how long a time was there difference there?
Roughly 35 days. Roughly 35 days.
All right. So from beginning to end, from learning how to wholesale to closing your first deal, I mean, what, 60 days, a little over 2 months?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I remember it closed on I believe it was March the 4th. I believe
Bro,
that's what it was.
that's so crazy. So you made $13,000 on your first deal, and your marketing. And I want to share this with everybody who's watching live and the thousands of people that are going to be watching on replay land or listening to this on replay land. From beginning to end, we're talking about just about a month. Right now, and I love doing this. This is like my new thing that I do, Paul, and I want to do it for you. And so what I'm going to do, guys, on my screen right now, those of you who are listening on audio, you can't see it, but what I'm doing is I'm typing in average household income for Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville, Kentucky. And I'm pulling it up right here. Guys, oh my goodness. Watch this, guys. Watch this. Well, actually, let me start with this. Income per individual in Louisville, Kentucky as of 2020, okay, is $31,000. Okay, $31,000. So if you were to take $31,000 and divide it by 12, that means the average individual in Louisville, Kentucky makes about $2,583 a month. The average working adult in corporate America in Louisville, Kentucky makes $2,583 a month. And in his first month, he generated $13,000. Guys, that is the reason why. If you want to know, Aaron, why do you show up so excited? This is not a front. I am legitimately this excited about the business. So I want to ask you this, Paul, before we get into some of the nuts and bolts, because you have a lot of practical instruction to share here. Let me ask you this, bro. Did you get a wire or a check?
Check.
All right, I love it. I love it. And I believe, by the way, y'all, I encourage everybody, your first deal, get a check. Don't do the wire. Get a check. And the reason why is because you want to take that check, you want to take a picture of it, you want to send it to your mom, you want to post it, take out all the important stuff you don't want people to know, and then you want to put it on social media. And I think that you should do it. Anybody who says, "Oh, these people that are flashy," and no, it has nothing to do with that. The IRS is not going to come get you. The idea behind it is, you really want to celebrate that win because it's going to do so much for you emotionally. But what I want to know, Paul, is you're holding that $13,000 check that is in your name. What does that do for you emotionally? And I'm not trying to lead you into any question. I want the honest, raw truth. What did that do for you, bro?
Man, I just remember when I got it, I was sitting in my car and I was just looking at it and just like thinking about it. Basically, it made me officially unemployable. Basically is what it did.
Why you expound on that? I know exactly what you mean, but for somebody who might be hearing this for the first time, bro, what does that mean?
So, I mean, once you see how much you can make from solving problems, you won't want to work for, you won't want to trade your time for dollars anymore.
That's right.
Once you see like how much money you can make as an entrepreneur versus an
Mm,
employee, you just,
mm.
yeah, it just hits different, man.
I love it, man. I love it. He said it made me officially unemployable. I love it. So, $13,000 hits your bank account in less than 60 days, or about 60 days of learning about this. Now the proof of concept is there. Then what happens from there? Where do you go from there?
So that's when I was still learning. I was still learning a whole lot. I really didn't know what to do because I was still working a full-time job. But that's when COVID just like was just becoming a thing, and the
Yeah,
country was just becoming on lockdown. And
yeah.
like my job, I was working a sales job, so I did in-home sales appointments, and they would set my appointments. COVID hit, they stopped setting appointments for me. And when you're commission only and you're not like getting any sales appointments, it's like you go broke. You don't make any money. If you're not selling
That's right.
anything, you don't make any money.
Hmm.
So um, that happened for a reason. And the reason that happened was so that I could spend more time wholesaling real estate and learning like what to do and how to make my business more efficient. And I found out about you. That's when I met you
Mm,
and the Superhuman Wholesalers group on Facebook.
mm,
I listened to your podcast with Brent Daniels, and
mm,
I don't know what it was. I still don't really remember what you said, but there
mm,
was like a call to action, but something made me seek you out and
mm,
like get involved with what you had going on with the Superhumans.
mm. That's cool, man. That's cool. So whenever you come to the Superhuman group, you join the campaign. We started masterminding. I remember your first call, and I remember, bro, there was something special about you whenever it came time for your accountability. I don't know what it was, bro. I don't know if it was your energy. I don't know if it was the accent, man. But I was like, this kid is, and by kid, I don't mean like I'm not sunning you. I'm just saying like, this guy. There's just some. You know what it was? I know what it was. I know what it was. We always talk about it. I'm acting like I don't know what it was. There's a look in the eye, man. There's a look in the eye, dude, where you know when somebody is serious. And I could name probably, if I could count on my hands and toes, the amount of individuals who, whenever they came in, I'm like, "Ooh, that's a special one. That's a special one right there." And you've been one of those individuals. In fact, you broke records and did some really cool things in the campaign. It's just been an honor to see your journey. So when you first started, you had closed the deal. You were really excited. How long did it take you before you hit your first six figures?
Man, probably about 8 months, to be honest. It was really
Holy moly.
maybe even 7. Yeah, it was
I,
fast.
yeah, I remember you were one of the special ones that we were like, what the heck? Already, I remember it was super nonchalant the way you told me, but I remember finding out and it being like, oh, wait, that's why this dude is quiet, because you were never in the chat. I hardly ever saw you, engaging like really, really heavy. I was like, oh, okay, this is one of those guys that's just out here grinding. He's just out here working. And I remember you throwing it out there nonchalant, like, hey, dude, I hit six figures. I just hit my six figures. And I was like, what? So, guys, just so that you understand, I got to put this into perspective, Paul, because a lot of people are not familiar with these numbers, and I find that unless I put it in perspective, they don't know what that actually looks like. So let's say about 7 months. Let's be conservative and call it 8 months. Paul hit his first six figures wholesaling real estate. Let's take $100,000 and divide it by 8. That means you have to average about $12,500 every single month for 8 months. in order to hit six figures in that amount of time? So I love asking this question because it really drives it home for everybody. I want to ask you guys this. If you were to generate $12,500 every single month for 8 months straight, would that change your life? Yee! Come on, man. Come
Yeah.
on, man. So Paul, um, you hit your first six figures. You started leading the community. You started doing all these incredible things. You now have an incredible brand that you're growing. There's so many people who have reached out to me because of you, and there's so many people that I know follow you loyal to the soil, bro. Like your followers are like loyal to you, bro. It's insane. It's insane. You've done all these incredible things in your first year. You've done some even more awesome things since, and I want to get to that. But I want to talk about this. Talk to me about mistakes that you made in your first year that if you could have done differently, I would have done this different in my first year.
Oh my God. There's so many mistakes, but I don't know if I would have done them any different because I feel
Sure.
like we have to learn.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
Well, for the sake of conversation, for the sake of
yeah,
conversation, right?
I'm trying to think.
A mistake that if you did do it differently would have helped you progress faster. And I'm with you. I'm 100% with you.
Okay. Yeah, I would say not hiring my virtual assistant full time sooner. When I first hired
Mm,
my very first virtual assistant, she was only working 15 hours a week, and yeah, I just can't imagine if I would have had her a full 40 hours a week right off the bat, how much more I could have done.
so let me ask you this. So what was it that held you back for so long? What held you back from putting her on full time?
Fear,
Mm,
because when you're a new entrepreneur and you're a new business owner and you start spending money or you're investing money in marketing,
yeah,
and maybe you don't fully know how that system works yet, you don't have a proven system, it comes off as more of a risk than
yeah,
an investment. Yeah,
yeah.
so I was scared.
Absolutely. And so this is my second takeaway from Paul's story. My second takeaway is y'all, one of the biggest differences between, and I shared this on a live the other day, Paul, one of the biggest differences between rich people and poor people, and this is why you have been so successful, Paul, is because I think you learned your lesson so quickly. One of the biggest differences between rich people and poor people is is poor people feel like investing in themselves and their business is risky, and so they don't take risks. Whereas rich people love taking calculated and mitigated risks if they know it's going to bring them more money. So I love the fact that you brought this out, because those of you out there who have closed your first deal, you've closed a 5, 10, 20, 30, some of you 50, $60,000 deal in your first deal. My encouragement to you is figure out how to reinvest that money somewhere where you can make more money. And Paul knew that he should reinvest it into marketing, bring in more leads so that you can start making more money. I absolutely love it. So let's keep taking this a little bit further, man. So let's talk about this. You're almost 2 years in the game. You're still what I would consider a rookie. Shoot, I'm still a rookie in the game. We're still rookies in the game, man. And you did six figures in your first eight months. Absolutely incredible. You're building a beautiful brand. You got all these great things going for you. We talked about one of your biggest mistakes in your first year, which is not in reinvesting into your marketing sooner because of fear. Let's talk about this, man. Biggest deal to date. What's the biggest deal that you've done to date?
Man, the biggest closed and funded. So the biggest deal that we have actually closed on was 50K.
Eee, Okay, we got to talk about it, bro. I got to press you. So from beginning to end, from contract to close and fund, how long did it take?
Man, well, this one, it took a while to get under contract, but once it was under contract, it took about 25 days to close. Yeah.
Holy moly,
Yeah.
man. Oh my goodness. All right, so $50,000 in 25 days. So let's break it down, man. This is what the people love to hear. Tell me where the lead came from, what was the marketing channel, and tell me a little bit about the story. Challenge. Talk to me about this deal because this is the stuff that the people need to hear.
Yeah, this was my very first multifamily property. So it was it was a fourplex is what it
Okay.
was. So that means it has 4 units, 4 rental units, right? And method that I acquired it was cold calling,
I
and it
love
was on
it.
the pre-foreclosure list.
Holy
So
moly. So you
yep,
you weren't shooting for multifamily. You had pulled a pre-foreclosure list and cold called it.
yep. And it just happened to be a fourplex. Yeah. And that's why it took a while to actually get under contract, is because she had so many people contacting her because she was in pre-foreclosure.
Uh,
And I don't know how I weaseled my way in there. Basically, I convinced her to meet me at the property after she rescheduled a few times, finally pinned her down. And then it came to the price. And I was like, what do you want for this building? Because I really didn't know how to value it. There wasn't really good comps. So I was like, but it was a great area, by the way. Really amazing area. I was just like, what do you want for it?
mm-hmm.
And she would not give me a number. But what she did, or what I pulled out of her, was what offers she's been getting from other investors. So
Saucy. That's a
yep.
nugget, y'all. That's a nugget. I love it. Okay. Okay.
So I found out that she'd been offered, 170, 180, and she hasn't accepted those offers. She's rejected those. So I was like, okay, what if I was able to do 200,000? And that was her number. That turns out she was just trying to play games, but that was the number she wanted in her head the whole time. So I was like, all right, let's do it. Got under contract, and then sent it out for 250, and that's what we got, 250. Crazy story on this one. Besides her being in pre-foreclosure, her ex-husband was living in one of the units,
Oh,
and
snap.
he wasn't paying rent, and he was like the property manager of the building too. So just an interesting dynamic when we were doing walkthroughs for sure.
I love it, man. So guys, are y'all catching any patterns here? We talked about Paul's first deal that he did in about 30 days of actually putting forth effort and learning this thing, and actively searching for deals. And did y'all notice the first one, the person had a problem. They wanted to get out of the situation. He said, just pay off my lien, man. I need to walk away from this thing. Paul made a $26,000 deal. He walked away with 13 after JVing it. He found a problem. Did y'all notice his biggest deal? That this was a pre-foreclosure list. Person just happened to that property happened to be a multiplex, a fourplex, and the person had a challenge. The challenge was they were behind on payments. Paul was persistent enough, by the way, if y'all can't see in the comment section, those that know him are calling him persistent Paul, right? He was persistent enough to stick with this person, right? And he calls it weaseling his way in. I call it being persistent. Napoleon Hill calls it being persistent, right? And he was able to get an appointment with the person. She would not give him the number. He found out what other people were offering, and once he threw out that number and she took it, he found out that he created a $50,000 spread, and you closed in less than a month. By the way, y'all, those of you that are just tuning in, by the way, we did this at the beginning of this call where I looked up where Paul is marketing in Louisville, Kentucky. The average individual's income is $31,177. In 25 days, this 26-year-old generated $50,000 in his biggest deal. Guys, that is insane. This is why I say that wholesaling real estate is one of my favorite. This is my favorite business model of all times. This is one of my favorite business model of all time. So I love it. So thank you for sharing, biggest deal up to date. I know that you're going to be having much more bigger deals in the future, Paul, as you continue to grow and scale. Let's talk about this, man. What's business look like right now? Going into 2022, what's persistent Paul's business looking like?
It's looking like it's growing. It's growing business. So we have some growing pains, but right now
Sure,
we have
sure. As you should. You're less than 2 years in the game.
Yeah, constant growing pains. But right now we have 3 cold callers, so 3 virtual assistants who are cold calling.
Beautiful.
That's been something that I've never stopped doing. I've always been cold calling in my business, so that's one thing that's helped me a lot, is that consistent flow of new leads.
Yeah.
Then I have like some experimental stuff going on with the marketing, but 2 lead managers that I work with directly. Basically, they're housed in my CRM, and their sole responsibility, their like a main task is to set appointments for acquisitions.
Nice.
And right now, acquisitions is me, but we're looking to bring on an acquisitions manager, very, very soon.
I love it.
That's the business right now.
I love it, man. Lean machine, man. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So let's talk about this, bro. Let's talk about this. You've done some pretty incredible things in business up until now. You're definitely top 10% earners, top 8% earner in the United States of America, which is absolutely insane. I'm so proud of you at such a young age. It's incredible. It's no wonder that you're inspiring the masses. Talk to me about this, bro. Everything that you've learned up until now, everything that you've accomplished up until now, surely you, like you said, you've made tons of mistakes. You're having tons of growing pains, which all of us do. By the way, let me just throw this out there. I find that the most successful people say that with no shame. And Paul, you're no exception, man. Any business owner or entrepreneur, y'all, who tells you that business is perfect and that life is peaches and cream and this is just, running through the fields of roses with eating chocolate, covered strawberries, is just absolutely, they're trying to sell you something. They're trying to sell you something, because the moment you stop having growing pains is the moment you've stopped growing. And the moment you've stopped growing is the moment you start dying. All right. So I love the fact that, and I find that the people who are ashamed to talk about the growing pains are having growing pains with no progress. So I love it. I love it. So all the growing pains, all the mistakes you've made, all the blessings that you've seen, and all the wins that you've had over the last almost 2 years, what are the top 2 skill sets that you've identified entrepreneurs should learn? And I'm not saying that you've mastered them. I'm just saying you've noticed, and maybe you have mastered them. Maybe you are in the process of mastering them. But what are the top 2 skill sets that entrepreneurs absolutely must learn in order to be successful? If you could share that.
Yeah. So number 1, the ability to solve problems. So problem solving. And then number 2 is persistence.
That's huge. Wow. Yeah. Okay, so let's expound on that. So problem solving, the number 1 skill set. Oh, this is good. This is juicy. This is juicy right here. So the number 1 skill set is problem solving. The number 2 is persistent. You are the first person who's ever called persistence a skill set, and I love the fact that you did, because that means that it is something that is not inherent, that should be and can be learned. So I can't wait to get to that. But let's start with this first one, bro. You said the number 1 skill set that entrepreneurs should absolutely learn is problem solving. Can you expound on that?
Yeah. I mean, I believe it's called the law of compensation. You will get paid in direct proportion to the size of the problem that you solve. So
oh, wow.
If you can come up with solutions to problems, that's all an entrepreneur is someone who identifies a problem and they come with a solution. And if they do their job well enough, or they have a good enough solution, or they solve a big enough problem, they're going to be a very wealthy entrepreneur.
Major facts, man. Major facts. That's huge. That's huge. I love that, because the implication of that is that you have to be looking for problems.
Mm-hmm.
But Paul, don't you find that most people spend the majority of their life, especially in Western civilization, where we are groomed for comfort. We're groomed to be somewhere where you feel good, and you're always pursuing pleasure. We're always pursuing pleasure and running away from pain. That's like what drives human behavior, pursuing pleasure and running away from pain. You're saying you'll be paid according to your ability to run towards problems. Doesn't that mean that
Absolutely.
you're always going to be, you putting yourself in a position where you're racking your head. You're always putting yourself in a position where you're kind of a little bit uncomfortable, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's like whenever people complain about stuff, or, it's real easy to find stuff to complain about. My perspective is, if you're going to complain about something, ask yourself, like, what are you going to do about it? So you don't have to complain about it anymore. But yeah, just finding problems to solve, and you'll be paid accordingly.
I love it. I love it. By the way, in the live that I did, we're so aligned, bro. On that live that I did, one of the other differences between rich and poor people was that poor people tend to think, they literally think in terms of problems. So like, I can't afford that. So they're thinking in terms of identifying the problem, whereas rich people think in terms of solutions. So they'll see the same problem, but they'll think about it in terms of a solution. In other words, how could I afford that? How could I afford that? Right? So I love that. He says the number one skill set that entrepreneurs need to learn is problem solving. I love that, man. We could have a whole podcast just on that. I love it, love it, love it. The second skill set you said is persistence. So before you even break that down, bro, you are literally, part of your brand is literally persistent. Wait, we call you Persistent Paul. What is persistence? What is persistence?
Persistence, it's real simple. It's just the ability to not quit, the ability to go and continue to move forward in spite of adversity. So even though that it seems like the world is against you, persistence is being able to continue and fight the world, pretty much. Just fight
That's
through it.
heavy. That's heavy. Those of you that haven't seen Paul's logo, it is literally a picture of it's like almost like a Bitmoji version of Paul running through a brick wall. It's the coolest thing, and it literally symbolizes in a beautiful way exactly what persistence is, right? It's how many brick walls can you continue to run through with the same level of enthusiasm. I love it. So now that you've given us an idea of what persistence is, expound on that, man. Why is that the second foremost skill set that you say an entrepreneur needs to develop in order to be successful?
Because as an entrepreneur, you are going to face a lot of adversity. It's going to be a constant battle. You're going to face a lot of demons, and you're going to face new problems and new struggles every single day. But in your business idea, it might not work. You might be defeated. You might face defeat.
Yeah.
But if you're persistent, that means you keep going through it and you never quit. Even though you may be defeated, you don't accept that as failure. So your ability to be persistent and to keep going means that inevitably you will win. It's just a matter of time.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. I absolutely love it.
Also,
Go ahead.
just add on to it. So another part of that, a part of being persistent, is being able to identify those struggles and that adversity as opportunities, as opportunities to solve problems or to create winning scenarios. Every low point isn't necessarily bad. it could be there and designed to fuel you or to teach you something. So as soon as you shift your perspective and start looking at these defeats and these adversity as learning moments, then that you're going to be much better off.
I love it, man. I love it. It reminds me of the parable of the donkey in the well. The donkey in the well. The donkey falls into the well and he hits rock bottom and he's really discouraged. But he's a donkey, man. He's stubborn as heck and he will not accept defeat. And the farmer is throwing dirt in the well, and the donkey can't understand why his master is throwing dirt in the well. But he's stubborn as heck, and so he shakes the dirt off and stamps his feet. And then another shovel full of dirt, and he shakes the dirt off and stomps his feet, and eventually he climbs his way out of the well because he's creating a stepping ladder all the way up to the top. And that's life. That is literally life. We have to start at rock bottom, and life is going to continue to throw obstacle after obstacle. In fact, I love the way Napoleon Hill puts it, Paul. He says, it seems that there is an invisible guide whose sole responsibility is to tour you through all sorts of trial and tribulation. And if we have persistent enough to just fight through the trial and tribulation, then we'll make the grade. The world cries out, bravo, we knew you could do it, and we reach the goal that we had in mind from the beginning. So I love it, love it, love it. Paul, you're one of my favorite humans, man. It's been a pleasure working with you, over the last 2 years. Not only in when we first started our relationship, it was more of a situation where it was like, I'm trying to help you and encourage you, but then very quickly, the dynamic shifted, and it's more like we're peers encouraging and helping each other and building each other up. And I encourage everybody to have a mindset like Paul's, where don't just approach life where you're taking. Try to see how you can give back. Try to see how you can take what you've learned and now give to others. It'll make you more money than you could have ever imagined in your life. So, Paul, before we hop off this thing, man, give us some words of encouragement for those that are watching, not only here live, but the thousands of people who are going to be listening to this in the future on all different platforms, man. What do you have to say to new entrepreneurs or struggling entrepreneurs who are listening to this?
Oh man, you gave me the mic. I would say that whatever you're going through or whatever goals you have right now, make sure you stay focused on them. And even though right now might not be your season, as long as you continue to plow the fields and plant the seeds, eventually there will be a season of harvest for you. So keep putting in that work. Just because maybe your journey isn't coming to fruition as fast as my journey has, don't be discouraged by that. Don't be fooled by social media. And make sure that you follow people who you actually want to be like, who have the same core values as you, who have the same family life that you want to have, who are making the same amount of money you want to make. And above all else, I would say just have faith in yourself and have belief in what you're doing and belief in your purpose. As long as you have, faith and belief in your purpose, you're going to win. Just a matter of time.
I love it, man. I love it. Could not have said it better myself. Paul, how can people get in contact with you? How can people reach out to you if you resonated with them?
Yeah, best way, you can add me as a friend on Facebook, but probably the best way is to follow me on Instagram at persistent_Paul. I think that's what it is. Persistent Paul on Instagram. And then you can go check out my YouTube, Paul Logston. And yeah, if anyone needs anything, just shoot me a quick message. I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Guys, look my man up, Paul Logston, on all platforms. He's always giving away incredible amounts of value. He has a community that where he's helping people to take their business to the next level. He's absolutely insane. I've learned a lot from this guy. I know that many of you can too. And for those of you that keep asking, all right, if you're looking to take your business to the next level, then I want you to go to yourwholesalebiz.com, schedule a free consultation call with me, yours truly, and I'll basically give you some value and point you in the right direction. And if it seems like we're a good fit, then I will let you know what I have to offer and what all that entails, and you get to decide whether or not you want to be a part of the most prolific coaching program that wholesaling has to offer with me, yours truly, alone. Guys, this has been another live with Aaron Bevins, the millennial entrepreneur, and the one and only Mr. Persistent Paul. Until next time, let's get it.
We made it, that's facts, ayy. We the greatest, that's facts, ayy. Prices raising, that's facts, ayy. That's right. But we paid it, that's facts, ayy. I did. They hate it, that's facts, ayy. Cause we changing, that's facts, ayy. We did. Can't blame them, that's facts, ayy. Cause we made it, that's facts, ayy. Cherry on top, that's a goat, yeah. Where you been, I wanna know, yeah. Greatest story ever told, yeah. Greatest story ever told, yeah. I know you wanna look up for this. Baby, let me turn you up a bit. You said you made it through hell and back. Give me the scoop, baby, tell the